Hello, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. So today, this video might be a little bit longer than usual. Once in a while I'll post longer videos, but a lot of times I keep my videos short, or I try to. But this one might be a little bit longer because I'm going to be discussing a couple of topics that actually kind of blend into each other. So that's why. But before I get into those topics, I actually want to make an announcement. It's been a long time since I've held any kind of class or course, and that's because, like I've mentioned in previous videos, there are some changes and upgrades that are happening within me. So I've been processing that, and I felt the need to retreat from that approach. A lot is changing, so I'm just trying to take it easy, move slowly, pay attention to the cycles and rhythms of my body. But this month, starting on February 20th, I'm holding a Learn to Read Energy course. Now, from the sounds of it, it's kind of basic, right? Learn to read energy. But if you know me and my track record of my classes and courses, they're anything but basic. So it sounds basic because the name of that course is the most relatable title that I could come up with. The other titles that I thought of just weren't, they didn't have a punch to them. Like I needed something that would catch enough people's attention so they would at least pay attention to what I'm offering. And then once they get into the course, they see that there's a lot more to it than just the basic name. So this Learn to Read Energy course is coming up February 20th, and then I'm going to be doing the second part. It's a two-part course. I'm going to be doing the second part of it the week after. So I think it's, February 20th. I think that's a Tuesday, and then the next Tuesday. I think it's like 3 p.m. is what I put it as. It's $20, very affordable, okay? Extremely affordable. And you always have the option. I didn't put it as a sliding scale course, but if you feel like you want to send more, you can always send a donation my way to show your appreciation. Always an option. I'm not telling you to do it, but it is an option. Okay, so just letting you know that. I always appreciate it. So let's get into the topic. And you're gonna see how the topics that I'm talking about today also come full circle into why I'm offering this course and why I actually feel it's so important. Okay, so let's get into it. So I wanted to start off by talking about this idea of memory loss on the ascension journey or the spiritual evolution journey, whatever you want to call it. Okay, and I think I'll just start off by telling you how it happened for me, and just to give you an idea of how it could happen for you and what this might mean and what you need to pay attention to. All right, so what I noticed started to happen was I would be in, let's say, interviews or conversations with people, and I would make an attempt to tap into the information that I have acquired over the years. As you know, I've been on this journey for over 10 years now. It's been a long time. I think maybe 12 years now. So I've accumulated a lot of information and a lot of wisdom and just a lot of experience. So what would happen is I would make an attempt to just kind of tap into that information to give an answer or some insight, and I would be drawing a blank. And that scared me. I'm like, oh my God, I can't remember anything. And I got nervous. I'm like, what is going on? I cannot remember. Like in the past, let's say maybe like 5 years ago, when I would do interviews or have discussions, I would be able to give people an answer or an insight from my little, I guess, storage area within me of information that I've accumulated over the years. But within recent years, I was not able to do that. And I'm like, what is going on? Another indication of this is when I would, let's say, journal or reflect. And sometimes when I reflect on things, I actually speak out loud. It helps me to like just sift through my thoughts and sift through my ideas and just reflect on things that I'm thinking about, experiencing, feeling, all types of things. And what would happen is pretty much something similar. It would almost be like my mind would go blank, and it would be hard for me to really bring down any kind of information or energy through, because it just felt like something was stopping it. And another way that that would express itself is I would actually start to feel really drained when I would, even the process of journaling. Sometimes after a while, you get drained because it's tiring to talk all the time. Sometimes you just need to be quiet. But even with journaling and really sitting in stuff, I would start to get drained. And it just felt like something was stopping the flow of energy. So I'm like, okay, what is going on? So I decided to really tap into that experience that I was having. And what was reflected back to me was this idea of trying to bring a vast amount of information through a very small funnel. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. Now, what does that mean? What it meant was, and this is what I heard, inside me, was that you have to let go of who you have created yourself to be. And I was like, okay. So I sat with that. What does that mean? You have to let go of who you created yourself to be, even as a spiritual person. All of this information that you've accumulated, all of this wisdom that you've just gathered up in your being, you have to let it go. And I thought that was really interesting because I'm like, why would I want to let that go? Like, I've gone through a lot on this journey and I've learned a lot. Why would I want to release that? And what I felt was that in order for you to fully expand, to continue to expand, you can't hold on to anything like that. Even if it appears to be spiritual, we think it's spiritual, well, it's good, so we hold on. You have to let go of it because that's the only way you're going to be able to expand. So you can't hold on to that. First of all, the idea of trying to accumulate and acquire information and to hold on to it is kind of an egoic process. It's an egoic approach. It's like you learn stuff and then you try to claim it as your own. And you try to claim it as your information. When really, this information, this wisdom, all of this stuff doesn't belong to you. It actually, you can't claim that. It's almost like you're borrowing the information. You're borrowing the wisdom. It's not yours. So in the soul's attempt to continue expanding, or whatever part of you is trying to expand, you have to be willing to just allow yourself to be a clear vessel for any information, any wisdom. Know that the information, the wisdom is not going anywhere. It's still a part of you, but you're not attached to the information. You're not claiming the information through your ego. It's there, a part of you, as just a being of divine consciousness, as a being that is one with all that is. And when you're one with all that is, as you are, any information that you need in the moment is already available to you. But it will come in the moment that it's needed. So if you find that you're having a hard time remembering things in that capacity, that could be the reason why, is that there's a part of you that's trying to release this need to become attached or to remain attached to this idea of what it means to be spiritually wise or to be spiritually intelligent. And it's trying to just expand into just all that is. So it can just be all that you are in the moment. So I found that once I allowed myself to just let go of this concept, this idea of everything that I've created myself to be as a spiritual person and any information that's connected to that, I was able to hold space better. I was able to be more present. And I've just found that I have access actually to a lot more information and the ability to just know what the answer is. That's the most healing, the most insightful, whatever it is that's going to bring expansion for the person in the moment, even if it's just me. But I had to allow myself to just be open to that. All right. So this is the process of really becoming a clear vessel or a clear channel, a clear anchor for spirit, for your higher self, and for the vastness of your soul. And if you think about it, the vastness of your soul is too big. Your ego can't hold on to all of that information. It can't. So you have to allow yourself to access a larger library, a larger storage of energy, of information. But in order for you to do that, you can't claim the information as your own. You have to just allow it to flow in the moment and then flow out as needed. Okay? So that may be the cause of some of the memory loss if this is what you're experiencing. Okay? So keep that in mind. And that actually brings me to my next topic. And that's the idea of building presence. I'll start off by saying that this idea of being present or being grounded, my definition of that has changed a bit over the years. I feel like when I first started this, or even, I don't know, I guess you could say within the first portion, the first chunk of my journey, maybe 70% so far, I saw grounding and presence as something that you go back to. Like, it's not something that you're always maintaining. It's something that you have to do constantly. Like, okay, if I want to ground, I have to go out into nature. And then that'll stay with me for a bit, but at some point I may become ungrounded again, which, I mean, it's normal because of this world that we live in. I mean, there's just constant movement, constant change, constant things, people going back and forth. And if you think about it, a lot of people are they themselves not present, so they're scattered, they're all over the place, and then if you're exposed to that, that may throw you off kilter. I mean, it's a lot. So, but anyway, going back to the original point, I found myself thinking that to be grounded would be, okay, I'm going to go out into nature and ground. And that would be just a kind of temporary experience that would hold me over for a while. And then at some point I get ungrounded and I have to go back out into nature, ground again. And I'm still an advocate of being out in nature. Nothing wrong with that. Not just for grounding, but just for healing, everything. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being in nature. Same thing with presence. I would have presence through meditation and becoming present in the moment, calling my energy into the moment and being present in the here and now. But from what I've seen is that grounding and presence is something that actually cultivates over time. It's something that actually keeps getting stronger and stronger over time. So this process of going out into nature grounding helps you to ground, helps to build your overall foundation. And the same thing with meditation. It helps to build your presence. It helps you to connect to that pillar of light in the center of your being that's connected with your divine self. And, meditation just helps you to connect to that. But the whole idea of doing these processes is to build this so that even if you can't or don't want to engage in these practices, this is something that's always accessible to you. Okay? And what I found too is that healing overall promotes grounding and presence. So the more that we're able to call, I guess you could say, pieces of ourselves back from any sort of traumatic event, anything that was difficult for us, anything that keeps us from being who we truly are, when we call that part of ourselves back and we become whole again, that helps us to be grounded and present at all times. okay? Or as much as possible. I mean, considering all the stuff that goes on in the world that can throw you off course. But basically, when you heal certain issues, wounds, traumas, whatever may be your thing, you nurture your self-care, your well-being, all of that stuff. It helps to build a stronger and stronger foundation so that you create space for your true self, your divine self, so that when you're going through something, now it's not that you are just going back to the same approaches that you had previously. Now, because you're making space for who you truly are, now you can make a different choice and approach things differently because you've created space for that. So, this idea of grounding and presence, I think, is something that we're building in greater degrees and greater percentages the longer that we're on this journey and the more that we take care of ourselves and really prioritize our self-care, our well-being, and our just spiritual practice. And I find this to be important, especially, I mean, for anybody really, but especially for people who are working in the spiritual field or any kind of work that requires you to be one-on-one with people or to just work with people in any capacity. And you need to counsel them or support them, or if you're like, let's say if you're a life coach or something, this is important because when you have a person sitting in front of you, can you be present with them? What allows you to be present with the person is not just paying attention and listening. It's being able to listen to whatever is going on with them and not have all these inner narratives about their issues that causes you to become flustered, to become triggered, to become agitated, to start projecting your issues onto them. So do you see how healing your own issues helps you to be more present for other people when they have their issues going on? Because any issues they have, if you haven't healed whatever stuff you have going on, you may project your stuff onto them. And in that moment, you can't be present for them. And in those cases too, compassion may be lacking. Okay? So that brings me to my final point about this Learn to Read Energy course. Why I feel this is important is because I'm noticing a lot of stuff like in the spiritual community where people are wanting, instead of trying to really sit with the person and their unique experience and their unique expression and really seeing what that person needs, they're just sharing spiritual information. And I'm like, I mean, I've noticed it. I'm saying to myself, this is some of the worst advice I have ever seen. But that's because people are just sharing what it is that they've acquired, what they've accumulated, what they feel is the truth. But here's the thing. You're sharing the truth, but is the truth actually helpful to them? Truth is truth, like objective truth, or I don't know. Some of these things, you open the box of truth. It's like Pandora's box opens up. So I don't want to go too far into that. But basically what I'm trying to say is if you have observed something to be true, so that would be more so a subjective truth, and you want to share that with them because you feel that that's an objective truth, you may be doing them a disservice because they may need something else to get them through that specific experience. So in those cases, yeah, the truth stands on its own. Something may be true, but one, it may not be true for them. So that's not helpful. And they may need something within that moment that just helps them to get through the day or get through that specific experience. Truth is not going to be helpful in that situation. If anything, it can seem cold and detached. So, with that being said, it's really important to be present with the person in front of you. And I posted a video about this maybe a couple of months ago. I didn't go into it too far, but basically it's like, do you want to be right or do you want to be helpful? Do you want to share the truth or do you want to help the person in front of you? Do you want to help to ease their suffering? Truth may or may not do that. So you got to work with people where they're at. Unless you don't want to, then don't. Right? But if we as spiritual leaders or change makers, light workers, whatever title you want to give yourself, really want to help people to ease suffering, we have to work with people on an individual basis. People are unique and they have unique experiences. So work with that. Sometimes that means not saying anything. This is why presence helps, because maybe in the moment you're not guided to say anything. So in those cases, don't. They may not like that, but sometimes silence is all that's needed. You don't have to respond to everything that comes up. So sometimes you just may need to be an ear. But we're going to go into that more during the Learn to Read Energy course. I'm going to work with you on how to be solid and as clear as possible for yourself. And that'll be the first week. And then the second week, I'll go into how to use this to properly interact with others so that you can help them as much as possible. You're not going to be able to solve everything. That's not the point. It's just to be as present as possible so you can actually be helpful. And we'll do some more fun things, like depending on how many people sign up, I may do like some practice rounds where we'll look at energy patterns within specific situations so you can kind of read the energy of how someone is feeling in the moment and then how they're responding to certain things, what happens to their energy, those energy patterns, and how to recognize that. So, and there's more coming. It's just when we get closer to the day of, more insight tends to come in those moments because we get closer and then the energy starts to drop in a bit more and I'm given more detail. But if you want to find out more information about this course, I'll post the link in my description and you can read about it. And like I said, it's $20, extremely affordable. For 2 weeks, you get 2 hours worth of information. You get the replay. So that was the price that I was guided to offer. But if you feel like you want to offer more to show your appreciation, you could do so through the donation link that I have. Okay? So I think I touched upon everything. So I send you all so much love. Take care of yourselves. I feel like this week is going to be impactful. I don't know how, but just take care of yourselves. Maybe I'll post like an Instagram thingy about that, like an Instagram or a Facebook post about what I feel is going on in the world, just on a collective basis right now is what I mean. All right, so I send you all so much love and take care. Bye-bye.